Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hurdle the Line, your review preview show. Even we are back, full lineup. I could not be here last week, but I'm so grateful for my two beautiful, wonderful co-hosts for pulling it together and frankly doing a better episode than any of the ones I have hosted so far. Karl and Sam, happy new year to you both. How are you both doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, good. We're good.
yeah, happy New Year, mate. Hope you're all good. And yeah, thanks to me and Sam, we pulled a fairly strong show out of our ass last week. So, but yeah,
New Year's Day, family commitments and all that sort of stuff. It was a lot, and I really, really, really appreciate you pulling it together. Um, that's weird. So anyway, getting on to the quick announcement. Over the holiday period, we made some changes at the AAW network as to per the socials. There are no longer a dedicated podcast social media account. It is now dedicated to college football as a whole, NFL as a whole, and then the Central Asleep at Work network account is dedicated to podcast updates, website updates, network updates, that kind of thing. So if you're after particularly NFL content, it'd be AAW underscore NFL on every single platform. Um, as well as this, make sure to follow. So, all the links will be in the description of this episode. If you are on YouTube, they are right below our faces. If you are on audio only platforms, they will be inside the platform that you are on. Also, please join our Discord server. The playoffs are here, and it is better when you have it, when you can go through them all together. That's how I feel anyway, and you can do so in our community. We will have, with the off season upcoming, there's going to be lots and lots of different things going on in there. Your opportunity is to join in on the podcast as well and have your say on some of the things that are going on. We'll be doing some community related things within the podcast going forward, particularly through the off season. So, without further ado, I think it's most important. The place to start, as far as news goes, there's only few real bits of news. They're all about the same thing, and that is coaching changes. Couple of them will gone through on Monday night, but we'll go through the whole lot together. I think just the vacancies. I think it's pretty much stopped now, or at least to the point where anything that happens now is going to be a coordinator taken from a playoff team. We'll start with the coordinator positions that are open. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator position, the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator position, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, New York Jets defensive coordinator, and why have I written that really weird? The Raiders OC, excuse me, are all available as positions. Lads, over the last few days, obviously, a few of these have come through. Which one of these has shocked you the most in terms of a coordinator that's been fired?
Me personally, I think the Commanders one's a bit interesting. I know they've not exactly been great on offense, but they've also not had their leading quarterback or
mm,
any of their wide receivers for most of the year. So I think it's an odd one, but I can maybe understand it if you know they'd gone the whole season not performing well with all of those players, and they had a rough start. But I don't know, that one feels a bit harsh for me. But I think they're probably just hoping that with all the potential firings that they could probably bring someone in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the one that really baffled my mind so much was I can understand why they let this guy go, but I'm very surprised they didn't fire the head coach in one full swoop as well. And that's to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The offensive coordinator Grissom, yeah, he got released or he got relieved of his duties rather. Um, I don't quite, I don't quite get it as such because the only reason being why is last year you had a very, very good offensive mind, Liam Cohen. You allowed him to walk out the door and be a head coach for Jacksonville. What ownership should have done is they should have told Liam Cohen, we'll give you more money this year. We're going to keep you on. If Todd Bowles continues to mess up this season, we don't make the postseason, we're going to relieve him and you're going to get elevated. That's the way I think it should have been about, but they've done it arse backwards. Typical Glazers, anyway. Um, as far as I'm concerned regarding of the firings and that, none of them really, none of them's really surprised me that much. We knew Pete Carroll was going to get canned. We knew that, um, the Giants head coaching position, Kafka, he was never going to hold on to that position, so we knew that for a fact. Jonathan Gannon,
Right,
he was bad from the very start.
right. But
So
coordinators, which one of the coordinator positions got you the most? And we'll get on to GMs and head coaches in just a minute.
yeah, it has to be firing of Josh Grizzard
Yeah,
of the Buccaneers for me personally.
yeah. For me, the writing was on the wall for John Morton as soon as Dan Campbell took over offensive play calling. I think that was that writing was on the wall for him anyway. And I think do you know what I actually I agree with you there, Sam. On the more surprising of the lot has been was Cliff Kingsbury being fired from the Commanders, just because of being dealt a bit of a crappy end of the stick this season. Jaden Daniels has been so often injured, so many offensive weapons out. It's tough for any offense to get going with that one. Marcus Mariota was your quarterback for quite a while.
The only thing I would potentially say is because obviously the OC is going to be involved in the decision making in terms of bringing players in. Terry McLaurin, I'm not saying he's never really been sort of fully injured, but he's always had like a few niggles or he's been out a couple of times. Was it really sensible bringing in Devo Samuel when we know his injury record? That'd be the only thing I would potentially be looking at, and
Mm.
the
Yeah,
fact that they didn't really. Obviously, I know they've had. To be honest, you look back at the injuries. Obviously, they had Eckler. He got out. He got put on IR. They had Ertz. He went on IR at some point. Jaden Daniels has been on IR. Devo Samuel was not available. Terry McLaurin wasn't available. I mean, it just. I don't know. It just feels like that there was probably a lot of problems that you know some head coaches get away with. Obviously, we talked about um, probably the reason why Zach Taylor never gets fired is because of the fact that Joe Burrow's out injured pretty much every single year, and it feels like it's you know that would possibly be a reason why they would keep him on, but I don't know. It felt harsh, and I personally, of all the ones that I would have gone with, I would have had more money on the Eagles firing their OC than the
yeah.
Commanders doing. And now, obviously, there's with them being in the playoffs, they're probably waiting. I still think by the end of the season he is going to get fired. But we'll wait and see on that one. But I do genuinely think he could get fired at the end of the season. That would have been more of a
Mm.
standard for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
for me, the Commanders is just the others don't. There's nothing about the other ones that surprised me. You know, Dallas defense has been poor.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and some of the other positions, I think that in general their positions they've not been good enough. Um, so yeah, not
Of
surprised at all.
of the positions of Bucks OC, Commanders OC, Lions OC, Cowboys DC, Jets DC, Giants DC, and the Raiders OC, just out of curiosity, which of those would you rather, like, if you were being called up by every single one of these teams? Because as we know, like, if anyone who listens to this show, we're offensive and defensive minded geniuses on this show. Which one would you be taking?
Can you just run through the
Lions.
name? Can you run through the list again? Because
So OC positions, you've got Bucks, Commanders, Lions, and Raiders.
I can't write that fast.
Okay, so OC, you've got Bucks,
Yeah,
Commanders,
yeah. Lions.
Lions,
Yeah.
and Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive coordinator positions, you've got Cowboys,
Yeah.
Jets,
Mm-hmm.
and Giants.
I think offensively for me, it'd either be the Lions or the Bucks. just purely if they've got everything there, they just need to tweak a few positions. And obviously, it's probably with the Bucks, they probably need to work on a few O line players. Maybe bring in someone like a tight end. I don't particularly rate K Dotton. And then in terms of the lines have everything. As long as they can keep hold of those players, they have everything. So
I
you
mean,
don't. That'd be an easy one to walk into. I just think that the pressure on that one would be a lot higher.
I think to be fair, with that being said, though, I think you've got a very similar situation at the Lions, where like you will have a lot to do with that offensive line. We lost Frank Ragnow 6 weeks before camp last year. We have had Taylor Decker, who's one of the better left tackles in the league. He's been out most of the year injured. Chances are you've got Graham Glasgow, the now centre, going out and probably retiring, with Decker likely to retire. You've got one linchpin position in Penny Sewell, similar to the Bucks, who've got Tristan Wirfs.
Mm.
You've got primarily what you've got to fix there is
But
offensive line.
I think with that is, and it's the same with the Bucks. I think offensive line, although I think it's for me, it's one of the hardest positions to draft in the NFL in terms of
Mhm.
drafting positions. But I think in terms of transfers and trades, I think it's possibly one of the and free agency, possibly one of the easier areas you can at least pick up some fairly decent picks.
Yeah,
Um, so I think in terms, if you're going into, I mean, in all honesty, I'd rather deal with having to deal with building an O line than having to deal with building a whole new offense in the Raiders
yeah.
because you've only got really what Genty and Brock
Bowers.
Bowers. Everything else you've got to find pieces to fit in. They've got a whole O line they need to sort out. Need to bring
Yeah.
in a quarterback, which they're likely going to be is going to be what Mendoza.
More than likely.
So
Poor
you
Mendoza.
I know they
Yeah.
just want to because the thing is as well. I think I did watch a thing, but don't talk too much about it. But I just think that position is probably the worst one you're going to go into. And the Commanders is a difficult one. I think because of the fact that they have quite a lot of aging players. Obviously, Terry McLaurin isn't getting any younger. Zach Ertz is likely to retire. I'd be shocked if we ever saw him in the NFL again.
Mm.
And you're essentially hoping that you can find them pieces to go around Jaden Daniels. And again, similar issue. They do need to sort out a few O line pieces. So um, I just think it's a little bit less attractive. I think for me, it's always going to be. I'd always prefer to take somewhere where like a Lions where you've got the players to be very inventive with that OC that OC position. Whereas
Mm.
Yeah.
you can't. I don't think with a lot of the other ones. And in terms of defense, I think probably the Giants is probably the best one. Again, they've got really good pieces on that defense. I think it's a solid defense. I wouldn't want to touch the Jets with a barge pole. I think that their situation in whole is just awful. And the same with the Cowboys. I wouldn't want to deal with Jerry Jones. So again, I wouldn't want to go near that.
If if you want to do anything though, if you want to walk into a job and immediately be considered successful, all your defense with the Jets has to do is get one interception. And you
Yeah,
are
that's true.
already the best defense that you are already a better coordinator than the last one.
Since they registered interceptions as a statistic back in the 1930s, every single team in the NFL or the AFL, whatever it was called before the merger, at least registered one interception on the season. The Jets have now got a record which is it makes
Never
the
gonna.
butt
And
it makes the butt fumble now sound tame.
and
It's
it's
also probably never likely going to happen again. That's the
and you
worst part.
Well, I
you also think with all the stats that you've got where there are cumulative stats, the whole it's a 17 game season, you should be getting more of everything. To have the like to have done something that never even happened in 12 games and you've
Mm.
gone 5 extra games without doing this thing is not I that's yeah, it's terrible. One thing I will say on the Commanders though is if you remember last year they had so many players on 1 year contracts, right?
Mm.
And I think was it you, Carl, who was bringing up last year how they had like about 40 players who were due to leave the building at the end of last year. Well, it's very similar this year. You've got a few extras who were on 2 year deals or
I don't know what the
maybe
Commanders' cap space situation is, but I don't think it's great. Um, But
Um,
this was the
yeah,
but this was the problem. They're very, very fortunate they got Jaden Daniels on the rookie contract still, because it may reach a point that all of a sudden, if he's able to get healthy, because obviously this season was bad enough. I actually felt sorry for Cliff Kingsbury. I don't. He had his hands tied. As soon as Jaden Daniels go down, what the hell are you meant to do?
especially when you have
Especially got Marcus Mariota as your backup. I think that was very, very unfair on him. I would have kept him on. I thought Dan Quinn would have been under the hot seat because he's supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach, and Washington's defense has been absolutely shambolic. So
yeah.
I'm surprised by that. But they want to get new to OC in. Cool. Let's see if he can get better than Cliff Kingsbury, who's a very good OC, by the way. He is a very good OC. I look at him and Mike McDaniel was more offensive minded geniuses and head coaches, if I've got to be particularly honest with you.
Mm.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the positions that are available now in terms of coordinators. Obviously, as the coaching cycle moves along, other names are being thrown around for some of the head coaching positions that are available. One of the biggest names that's being thrown around there out there at the moment, and obviously this is something we'll continue to talk about as the weeks go on, so we won't get too much into who's being spoke about. But Aidan Durd being consistently spoke about across a lot of these jobs. London born, West Ham fan, all that sort of stuff came up in the British Baffa game. It's just such a nice thing to see a British born defensive coordinator in the NFL getting such love throughout the NFL and potential head coaching jobs. So I'm really, really, really proud of that. Going into the general managers, though, obviously Miami Dolphins, they fired the head general manager throughout the season. Atlanta Falcons fired Terry Fontenot on Sunday night. It was. They didn't waste any time in getting their two out the building. It shocked Chapman a little bit to see both of them go. I think if you would have asked most Falcons fans, they weren't too bothered about. They would have liked to potentially see Fontenot stay. Outside of a couple of daft draft picks, overall they feel Fontenot has got talent in the building and done
And
quite
trading
well.
and trading this year's first round pick to the LA Rams, but I digress.
To
But
be fair, they did make good use of that pick.
They
That was
did, but at what? But they still didn't make they still didn't make the
what was it?
postseason.
But there's the thing is like the talent was in the building. The problem would have been Raheem Morris getting the most out of that talent. I think most Falcons fans seem to be happy with Morris out the door, which we'll get onto in a second. But what I mean, we don't need to say too much. I think you've said just about everything we need to about this firing. There were some odd decisions, and at the end of the day, as is the case with some of these situations, Raheem Morris was Fontenot's guy. Sometimes you just have to take the fall as well for hiring your guy and your guy being crap.
Well, apparently the rumors going around that the president apparently that's going to be Matt Ryan's job.
interesting.
Former quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. He's in someone for president, not GM, but for president. So I don't know. I've just got a suspicious with this Falcons one. I don't think it's. Remember, I think it was. Who was it that tipped off the Falcons saying don't go after Bill Belichick? And they didn't. They went after Raheem. And they didn't. They went after Raheem Morris.
That
Can't
would
remember
be
who. Can't remember who
Robert
said.
Kraft.
It might have been Robert Kraft. Might have been. Um.
It was because Arthur Blank had said that he'd had a conversation. Basically, he was going to said he'd had a conversation with Robert
mm,
Kraft, and Kraft was like, "Nah."
Now I don't expect Belichick to leave UNC. Not after 1 year. I know it weren't particularly great, but at least he was showing some sort of glimpses through that team anyway, even though they
I
lost to
mean, would
Duke.
Jordan let him? I digress. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into
Let's
that.
not. No, no. This ain't the view. Move on.
Out of those two, though, which job would you prefer to take? Would you rather a GM job at the Falcons or a GM job at the Dolphins?
Oh, I'm taking Falcons all day long.
Falcons, yeah,
I'll take
they've
it.
already got a big, they've already got half a structure there. I think it's a much easier team to walk into,
Yeah.
like in terms of to build other players around that.
The quarterback situation is still a bit ropey regarding a Michael Penix, but I think you give
I mean,
Penix one more year just to see where you are because remember, 2027's QB class is going to be bloody stacked. So this 2026 will be Penix's year where you got to start proving yourself, and yet you can stay fit and healthy.
yeah,
Otherwise, they could be looking at somewhere else. But you look at that Falcons, their O line is actually pretty good. They've got probably the best back in the game in Bijan Robinson. They've got a stellar receiver at Drake London. I'm not sure if Kyle Pitts is going to be there next season because he is a free agent. They might re-sign him back. I don't know yet. But that defense of Atlanta is very, very good. So if I'm a GM, that's what I'm going to. With the Dolphins, where do you want me to start? Their O line's not particularly great. Tyreek Hill is probably going to want out because he can see the shit show coming from a mile away. The defense, they've got some good pieces. They've got Jordan Brooks at linebacker, Bradley Chubb on edge. That's really about it. I think Minka Fitzpatrick is a free agent. He'll probably end up going out somewhere else. And obviously now Mike McDaniel got fired as well. Chris Greer's gone, so that is a complete reboot. That is a complete and utter reboot for the Dolphins, as far as I'm concerned. And
yeah.
if I'm the
Um,
GM, I'm thinking, right, I need to trade pieces. What can we get for Devon Achan? What can we get for Jalen Waddle? What can we get for Jordan? What can we get for Jordan Brooks?
yeah. I do want to make a correction though. You said with the whole thing you said about the Falcons, you said Jameer Gibbs' his name wrong, and he doesn't play for the Atlanta Falcons. He plays for
Oh,
the Detroit
will you
Lions.
get out of your
Um,
feelings? God.
right, Sam's there looking down. It was Sam I was hoping for a bite from there. Um,
What, he was
because I
thinking I was going to say
know.
Kyron Williams. No, Sam,
No, no,
though.
no. I know because I know just how much Sam loves Bijan Robinson. Because he played for some two-bit college that only Sam watches. No, sorry, the one that
You mean that
Ooh.
two-bit college that won their Cheez-It Bowl
Who gives a
against some two-bit college that didn't?
who gives a fuck about the Cheez It Bowl?
um
Clearly not Michigan. They didn't turn
It's
up.
just a question.
um. Anyway, gentlemen, I can't believe you started that, Carl. You started that. That was shocking. That I have to come in and put a stop to it. But no, I mean, fair point. I'd probably take the Atlanta Falcons as well. On the basis of, like you say, I said it on Monday, by the way, on the review show. God, I'm getting these mixed up now. It's been 1 week. Um, but as I said like on Monday on the review show. I genuinely that roster's stacked. I think in terms of talent, it takes one good head coach to come in and fix that roster and have them winning 3 to 4 more games. Because I mean, the funniest part about it, and I'll use this as my segue into the head coaches. Right, the Jets beat the Falcons this year. Was it 27-24 or 29-26? I can't remember what the exact score was. But the Jets beat the Falcons. Now, if that one score game was flipped, like the whole like the one play worked for the for the Falcons or one play didn't work for the Jets, and the Falcons won it, the Falcons would be in the playoffs and the Jets would have the number 1 seed. Instead, the Falcons came third in a three-way tie, and the Jets have the number 2 seed. So you were 1, maybe 2 games away from being having a much better stead going into the playoffs. A different, slightly better coach would have done that with this roster. With the head coaching vacancies, though, we've got the Arizona Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Giants, and the Tennessee Titans. And because, again, I was expecting someone to jump in, maybe I didn't give you enough time, I'll read the last name again. The Cleveland Browns.
I've got it on my screen here, so
I'll do it
I'm
then.
fine.
I'll do it then. Where are the Cleveland Browns? Um, out of those positions again, the Miami Dolphins, they fired Mike McDaniel earlier today, day of recording, so that one's fresh. The Ravens fired Harbaugh yesterday, but most of these came through on Sunday night slash Monday afternoon, I guess, for us. The Giants and the Titans obviously happened mid-season. Which one of those were you surprised at more than any other? There was rumours that the Browns might fire Stefanski. Some weren't sure. Browns fans like him. They wanted him to stay. He's brought some of the better times in recent memory to the Browns, a bit of stability. Um, John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winner, but it wasn't like this season just wasn't enough for them, and what he got out the roster wasn't enough. Did any of these shock you at all?
No,
No.
no, no, not at
To
all.
be honest, I'm still surprised that McDaniels didn't go earlier in the season, to be honest. But I think
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Cleveland Brown one does because they don't really have anything. That'd be my only
Defense,
thing.
their defense.
Oh, that
Yeah,
defense
well,
is
yeah,
one of the
their
best in the
defense. But what I mean is, like, were we expecting that offense to actually be any good given the players that they actually had? Do you know what I mean?
It's not
Like,
so much. It's not so much as the play. It's their shoddy quarterback play. But yeah,
but that's on the OC. That's not necessarily on Stefanski.
yeah, that is on
I
the
mean,
OC.
don't get me wrong. I agree that Stefanski probably deserved to be sacked, but if we're going to talk about one being, I suppose, surprising, that would probably be the one that would be more surprising, or at least in that category of surprising.
Yeah. Trying to get some up then. That was what I was getting up. I don't know. Right, let me find it. Let me find it. Let me find it. I'll get it. I wanted one thing and it completely escaped my brain when I actually went to type it out. There we go. So the Dolphins started 1-6, 2-7. Managed to claw it back to 7-10 by winning what's 1, 2, 3, 4. Going 5-3 in the last 8 games. I don't know why I couldn't do 5+3 then quickly. That's really, really bad. But that kind of okay, they weren't exactly lighting it up. One of those wins was the win at the Bernabeu when it was like a horrific, horrible, boring game in which the NFL said, "We don't like you, Spain. You can have this." But at the end of season turnaround, in my head, they played better. I thought it may have bought him a little bit of time. Maybe one more year.
Mm, I don't know.
Maybe.
Every head coaching position now, it just feels like if he was throwing it at me and throwing which one or two would you go after? I
This one.
pers I personally, if for me it would either be it would either be the Ravens or the Falcons. Those are the two jobs I think that's going to be the most high in demand. The Giants not going to be too far behind. Um,
Yeah,
at least to have at least to have a quarterback as long as he
kind of running back.
stops trying to play running back and stops killing himself.
Yeah,
And
well, they have a running game.
getting concussed every other game. But their defense is good and so the Falcons, they've got a good. If the Falcons get the right head coach in, they can literally piss all over the NFC South.
Mm.
They legitimately can, right?
Yep.
So, and the Giants as well. They're playing in the NFC East. The Cowboys' defense is shambolic, with the Washington not playing great right now, and the Eagles, despite the fact they're the top dogs in the NFC East, it's bleh, bleh.
I,
That's all I can describe the Eagles' offense right now. So if the right head coach comes in, great. But the thing is with the Giants one, and I might have said this a few weeks ago, Fletch, which was whoever takes over a job in New York City, that head coach has got to be experienced and can deal with this kind of media.
I remember you saying that.
John Harbaugh fits that bill perfect.
I also think as well, if you're looking at someone like John Harbaugh, I think he'd be looking to go to the NFC as well, as opposed to going to the AFC. Because I get, when you get this whole like I think he wants to see Jim in the Super Bowl again, and obviously you can't do that if you're both in the AFC. I've just got this weird like he doesn't want to be in the same conference as his brother. Well, again, whether that's in my head, it's to go to the Super Bowl against each other again or have the best opportunity to do so. But also, I think maybe to play his brother slightly less.
Jim did mention that in the
For
Jim mentioned that in the press conference on Monday when he
yeah, he
heard
did.
about
He
Jim
did say
Harbaugh, and
that.
he said, "Yeah, it'll be nice to see John in the NFC." That's what he said. So
I know, obviously, like you get that bit between brothers where it's like a whole like I think between the brothers he's gonna do the whole no, it's because I don't want to play him every 3 years, maybe 2 years, maybe every year if we're finishing same place in the division every year. Um, but yeah, I think they want to go for a rematch of the Ravens Niners Super Bowl.
I also think that the head coaching jobs
2013.
in the NFC are slightly more attractive. You know, the Falcons I think is a really good position. I think the Giants is a really interesting one if they can get some draft picks correct for once. Obviously they've done it over the last couple of times. I think we've talked about their defense as being solid. I think their offense, once they get the likes of Malik Neighbors and Scatterbo back, I think they'll start flying again. Um, and whereas I think okay, maybe not the Cardinals. I think the only good thing about the Cardinals is Trey McBride, but I think just overall those two positions are a lot more attractive, especially for John Harbaugh. Because obviously you've got to take the Ravens out of the equation for that one. And call the others. I'm not too convinced by, so I would say,
Yeah.
but
mm, no, I
like,
agree.
like
I agree. I
so I think
agree.
Miami, like fair enough, you've got Tariq Hill who will come back, but let's be honest, he's 30 odd. He's coming towards the end of his career. You've got Jalen Waddle. You don't know what your quarterback situation is going to be. They've got Quinn Ewers who seem to be doing all right, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's a starting quarterback for the NFL. So that means, are you going to go back to Tua or are you going to move on to someone else? That means having to either draft or trade for someone. Um, I mean, I still think that um, what's his face? One who just Zach Taylor. I'm still surprised he's in a job. To be honest, I'm surprised they haven't. I know that they'll use the excuse every time of, well, Joe Burrow was injured. It's like, yeah, but Joe Flacco wasn't doing terribly. You've not drafted enough decent picks over the last few years.
No,
Just the only reason.
they haven't drafted on defense. They've
No,
drafted. All they do is concentrate on the offense. On the offense. Well, I'd say the offense. They don't do the offensive line any favors, but receivers,
yeah,
tight ends, running backs, quarterback. Yeah, they're fine with that. But D
and, and
line.
then and then obviously brought in Shamar Stewart with all the issues that they had off the field with him. I think it's I just think that I was just surprised, and I think the only reason they kept him in a job, from what I've heard of, basically what the Bengals ownership is like, is they just don't want to get rid of him because they're a bit cheap, and that's how it feels. So
No, it all,
it's
yeah.
they're not to me they're not a serious organization. I think that's the problem.
If Burrow had any sense, he'd request a trade out.
Yeah,
I know it means leaving Jamar Chase and T Higgins behind is because who he is very very close to, obviously, because obviously, well, especially Jamar Chase because from his LSU days. But you've also got to look at it another way. Just look at I hate to use it. I hate to use this comparison, Fletch, because it's going to give you PTSD. It just reminds you of Matthew Stafford when he was in Detroit,
yeah.
breaking his back every single time trying to put points on the board, and his defense was just doing fuck all about it.
And he's
This is the same situation as Cincinnati. It's 35, 40 points, but the defense gives up 43. That is simply not sustainable, and at some point you're going to annoy your face of your franchise.
and
Well, I
then
mean,
to
we've talked about his face in some of the interviews that he's done over the last couple of years. Like, he just doesn't look like he's there mentally. He just
I think
looks
he's
completely out
frustrated,
of
yeah.
it. I mean, he was spending his time in interviews talking about fucking Pokemon, for God's sake. Like this is where he was at with where he's at with his career, in my opinion. I just think he's in his head. I think he's mentally done with the Bengals. That's how it feels to me, and I think that it wouldn't surprise me this offseason if he lines up with someone else. Personally, I would quite like to see the Rams go for him because I think, we did it with Stafford. We brought him in, got a Super Bowl. Stafford retires. We do it with Joe Burrow, get another Super Bowl. But that's a pipe dream. But still, I think
I
I think
swear.
if they can't keep hold uh of Joe Burrow and actually start building a decent enough O line to build him up, and he goes, it wouldn't surprise me if they then got rid of Zach Taylor because to lose him would I think would be,
Do you
you know,
know? Can I
I,
give
s-
you? I do have another comparison for you, but I'm going to try and do it from another sport. So, if
okay.
any of you ever watch NHL, obviously there is a team called the Buffalo Sabres, right?
Yes.
Go back quite a fair few years ago. Jack Eichel was their main guy, and they obviously had number one of their really really bad seasons, and they said, and the owner basically turned around and said that, oh, we're going to keep hold of our head coach. We're going to give him another year, this, that, and the other. The minute Jack Eichel heard that, he immediately said, nope, get me out of here. I request a trade. Do you know what happened after? Do you know what happened? Literally, like a couple of hours after that, the ownership fired the GM and the head coach in one fell swoop.
Yeah,
yeah, it
just
feels like that. That to me is how I feel all
If you
day.
push someone to make a decision, they'll end up fired. The coaches, there's only reason why you're a coach in sport, and that's to get fired and get fired, get fired and then get fired again, and obviously win championships. That's if you get there, that is.
I am Manchester United are looking for a head coach at the moment. I'm telling you now, Sam, right? I swear to the things I would if the Rams go got Stafford, get a Super Bowl out of Stafford, I swear to God, if they didn't go
A
back and
second
get
one,
a
a second
second
one.
Super Bowl out of Stafford, Stafford retires and they go get Joe fucking Burrow, I like I'll quit. I'll quit this. I'll quit football. I don't care anymore.
You
I've
know who
done
the
it.
LA, you know who the LA Rams will be referred
I'm
to there.
done.
They'll be referred to Man City, where they just go after the best player, and then they
I
just,
don't.
yeah, well, you're done now. We're gonna bring this new shiny guy in there.
Yeah, but there's a thing. But like, I can see it now, right?
Thing is, we, we
They
we
do
we do
that,
have a very good cap space next year, so
but here's the
in
problem.
the
And
picks.
here's my biggest problem with all of it. Promise you, Jamar Chase will follow him, and then
Oh, quite possibly.
You'll have Puka Nakua, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams
Oh
on that
my God,
offense
that's the
with
That would be,
Sean
to be fair, that would
McVay,
that
be
was
disgusting. That would
that's a
be disgusting.
disgusting. That'll rival the greatest show on turf. That really would.
with with Sean McVay calling the offense and the defense that they have. I feel sick just thinking about it. I feel sick.
And
I would.
Rams is and Sam's just smirking, thinking, "Oh, I'm having a wet dream right now."
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's that. To be honest, it's stuff. It's the that's something that happens on Madden. We'd never get it. Never
That's
happened.
what that is a
I'm.
Madden thing, isn't it?
But I'm just. You could just. There is. It is a Madden thing. But every now and again, a Madden thing happens where you get someone who's just who just wants to go and win. At the end of the day, they're gonna get money either way. They wanna go and win.
I mean,
And
it'd certainly be a way to, because obviously one of the biggest things with the Rams is we do have probably one of the weakest fan bases in the NFL. If you want to bring
Not the weakest, but
God, you
one
will
of,
become the NFL's Manchester City now, wouldn't you? You really
well, we
would. But
would, but I
have
think
empty
you've
stadium.
also got to think as well the amount of tourism that would bring in and the amount of fans that would bring in would be crazy. But it ain't gonna happen. Let's get back to talking head coaches.
I would say half
yes,
empty stadium,
we're
fair weather
sidetracking
fans.
here.
Yeah, it's a but like okay then.
I might have
So
to jump on Madden and just put it together and see how it goes.
I think you should do that in the summer.
Yeah.
yeah,
Literally in the summer.
rebuilding making the greatest NFL team to ever exist.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
For the Rams. But okay, so just real quick, you again, I'm going to listen through one more time. I want you to tell me all five, oh sorry, all eight of these teams ring you up, give you a contract, which after taxes and all that sort of crap works out at the exact same number. Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, Tennessee Titans. All of them have offered you. You get the same amount of money after tax. Who you taking?
Ravens.
Probably, probably the Giants.
Okay.
And I know that'd be very difficult because obviously you're in New York. It's completely the environment is completely different, quite pressurizing. But in terms of when I'm looking at teams, that's the team that excites me the most.
Fair. You saw how Mike McDaniel though struggled with a quarterback who head
Throws
injury after
left-handed.
head injury. Um,
True.
I'll take. Again, I said it on Monday. I'll stick by my decision right now and say the Atlanta Falcons. I will take the Atlanta Falcons job. Because
You
those
just want to
as
have the best running back in the league, don't you? That's all it is.
the Detroit Lions job isn't available, Sam. Don't be silly. Um, I can't get David Montgomery. So in fact, no, it might be available. It might be available in the
I was going to say
offseason. I reckon
he
I'll go
could
with
be
He's a
it.
free.
available.
He's a free agent, isn't he, Montgomery?
No, he's got one more year left on his
Oh, he's
contract.
got one more year left. Okay, fair enough.
So I could go and get him. I reckon I could pry him away from the Lions. But no, I'll take the Falcons. They're just on the basis of talent across the field. I think I probably butt heads a little bit with like Arthur Blank. Um, but I reckon put a good product on that field, mix that in with the dirt cheap concessions that they've got in the stands. Once they've got a few beers down, have a great football team. That's going to be an insane atmosphere. You've got Georgia, who are terrible now. So I mean, granted, you've got Kennesaw State, so you've already got a high quality team in Georgia that everybody loves and is probably the best in the world. But you need someone else to take Georgia's spot now that they're terrible in the SEC, because it's a BTEC league in comparison to the Big Ten. Anyway, so that's it for the head coaching vacancies. Not too many other pieces of news. Nothing that particularly has stood out to me over the last few days, unless you're after TMZ type stuff, which we don't do on Hurdle the Line. We're going to go into the NFL playoffs. I'm so excited. Tonight, night of recording, is night one of the college football playoff semi-finals. Tonight, night of release, is the second night of the college football playoff semi-finals. Then on Saturday, we've got Wildcard. Sunday, Wildcard. Monday, Wildcard. 5 nights of playoff football. The NFL Wildcard starts off with the Los Angeles Rams at the Carolina Panthers at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday. That is UK time. If you could sum up this game in one word, would it be bloodbath
No,
for the Panthers? Why not? I know they played each other already, and the Panthers won. But
because
this is
it's not in our nature to go into and beat like absolutely decimate teams. We do it every single game where we will take our foot off the gas towards the end and then just allow them back into the game. We do it all the time. It may not be that it's, you know, we'll go like 3 scores up and then we'll just sit back and then just let them get another two and it finishes as a 7 point lead. And that's just how it seems to work. But I think it'd be disrespecting Carolina a lot if we were to say we were just going to go in there and destroy them. I think they've got a very good they've got a very good running game, which is in the last few weeks has been quite a big weakness for us. And you know, our defense hasn't been good enough at the moment. And I think that I think if you're going to put a word in it, I think it's just going to be. I don't want to say it's a revenge game, but it'll be a correcting of the stats game, I think, more than anything, or a correcting of the score game. I think it'll just be what people expect it to be. I think we were talking off air, me and Carl. I don't see it being the Rams having that 10.5 point difference that we've been given. I think it'll be a single score game. So I just think, that's how it's going to potentially end. But, I think as long as we can get the offense going and that, I think it'll be fine. But we have got probably arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league. So, and another one who's an absolute mean machine in the red zone. So,
Yeah. Well, I will say, as far as one-score games, I think you've had 8 one-score games this year. You've not lost any of the non-one-score games. No, you haven't. Not one single one. So every single game that you have lost, has been a one-score game. 3 games of the one-score games you've won, but every other game other than that, you've won by more than one score. I think this is going to be, just in my opinion, I think this is playoff Rams now. This is playoff Sean McVay. This is playoff Matthew Stafford. This is playoff everybody else. Potentially running into an entirely different LA Rams team, which is going to be more creative, which is going to be, I think, a bit more intentful than that. What about you, Carl? I mean, Sam's
So
very gracious.
he is.
Is a very gracious person, but do you think also the Panthers do stand a chance of winning this one?
I wouldn't say the Panthers stand a chance of winning this one. It's at home. And there's 2 things that I'll say. The first one of all is this. People should not underestimate home field advantage. And I'll give you a prime example. Remember when Jacksonville played the Chargers in 22, I think it was? When Chargers went over to Jacksonville, goes, oh, it's not going to be that much of a 12th man. It's not going to be that much. Yeah, they were 27-0 up at the half. But as soon as the Jags got going and the Chargers just got shut down, that crowd was ridiculously loud. Carolina will have will have a full capacity crowd in that stadium. They will bring the noise. They will bring as much I don't know what words are, just as much noise as they can
Yeah.
in regard to put the Rams off in a certain way. The spread's minus 10.5, okay? So that feels like too much for me, for my personal liking. Here's what I would say this though. If you look across the board of all the wild cards, the Panthers Rams one seems to be the one that everyone's got in their head. Oh, this is going to be a 20, 30 point win for the Rams. It's going to be a complete blowout, this, that, and the other. Usually on wildcard weekend, on paper at least, that's usually the case. But we have seen in the past where the first wildcard that plays is actually closer than what people anticipate it to be. So I say the Panthers. If the Panthers get ahead, it might get interesting.
Yeah.
But there's a reason being why the NFC South was so bad this year. Now, and Bryce Young, I don't know what he's going to do in this game. They're going to have to solely rely on the running game of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. They're going to have to in this game. It is going to be. I don't think it's going to be a scrappy game, but if the Panthers keep it close, we'll see where the fourth quarter comes out with. But
I think the one thing I was saying to Carl off air is obviously we don't have Kevin Dotson. He's been ruled out for the game, which is a massive loss for us. I think he's been key to not only our running game but also our passing game. Obviously, we talked about him during the awards episode, and I think when you've got Derek Brown lining up against Dedich, I think that could be a huge issue. My only hope is that Matthew Stafford does what he does all the time and handles the pressure and reads that pressure coming in, and we use a few more plays where we're getting out the pocket, and using our 13 man team, 13 man uh, lineups, and just dealing with it that way. Because
Yeah.
the last thing you want is Derek Brown having a free reign at Matt Stafford when it's going to be, either way, it's going to be on him. So you just need to get him out of that pocket in a way.
Yeah. I will say this though. The Panthers are going to win, by the way. It's written in the stars. There is a no.
They're not going to win.
They are, and it's
In,
legally binding in the terms of the fact that it's written into the universe. Now I'm going to read you a statistic here that proves in 2002 to 2003, Ohio State were crowned national champions. The Panthers had a losing record the year that Ohio State were national champions. I don't like this stat, by the way. The Panthers then open the next season versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. J-Lo files for divorce that year, and the Panthers make the Super Bowl. 2014 to 2015, Ohio State start the year as national champions, and the Panthers have a losing record. The Panthers open the next season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. J-Lo files for divorce. The Panthers make the Super Bowl. Now, currently, I guess I say currently officially, they went into this year, Ohio State were national champions. The Panthers open the season against the Jags, and J-Lo's filed for divorce against Ben Affleck. I'm sorry, the Panthers are making the Super Bowl. That is the law. It is written into the stars. It is written into the universe. It is a legal precedent. I cannot change this. So I'm sorry. That's just it's a cold hard fact that we're gonna have to all deal with.
you might need to speak to the NFL script writers, because I don't see that happening.
No, I'd rather you didn't.
So I mean, I can't. This is. You think they're not working with J-Lo here as part of this whole thing? I think they are. J-Lo's been in a Super Bowl halftime show before. How do you think she got it?
Yeah, but she's not
By
there this time.
divorcing people on time for the Panthers to make Super Bowls. This isn't my theory. This is a written and documented fact. I can't do anything about it.
It sounds like conspiracy more than anything.
But I think you argue with the facts, my friend. These are facts. What I will say though, on a slightly more, you will consider this to be reasonable take. I think it was perfectly reasonable to say what I've just said. There's a reason the LA Rams are minus 10.5 favourites away from home. There is a reason they are 1-6 on the money line. And when a team is favoured by that much, and yet the over-under is only 46.5, that normally implies some sort of belt to our situation that is not generally tend to be very pretty.
That is my term of phrase. Leave it alone.
I mean, there are phrases I could use, but they're not for this kind of podcast, my friends. These aren't phrases I can use on YouTube, or
You need
Apple
family
Podcasts.
friendly
Will have a problem.
phrases.
Insert Jerry Spring. Okay, then we'll go with
No.
I could use the phrase "beep." Right, okay, so and use them phrases, but
We have also got Terence Ferguson back as well. He's available,
and I think,
so.
but I was going to say, for me, the point comes in. Everything changes in the playoffs. I'm going to mention another team in a bit, and I'm going to sound like a hater. I promise you, I'm not a hater. I stand by this. I've stood by this when talking to Chapman and Tom and Ollie on the review show as well. There are some teams I need to see it in January before I believe in it. And you can be as great as you want in October, but if you are not great until I see it in January, I don't see. And I'll throw back to last year's Detroit Lions. They were 15-2. Not very many teams had won 15 games in a regular season before, right? They walk out of that regular season and absolutely bomb in the playoffs after our bye week. You have to do it in January. You have to, and it's different. Everything's different in January. As great as I think David Canales has done a fantastic job, and I think what Bryce Young has done this year, coming out of the crap he was given the year before, and the tumultuous start he's had to his life in the NFL. I don't think they're ready to do it in January yet. And do you know who is ready to do it in January? Who we have years and years and
Around in McVay.
years.
I will give you this though. There could be another head coaching job available, and that is if Dave Canales gets fired after this game. And there's a couple of reasons. There's two reasons why. Okay, a subpar record. Okay, you still won the division. Okay, so you have won a division title to your resume, which is great. Dave Canales' record as head coach of the Carolina Panthers is 13-21. Is it worth keeping him?
Given the improvement, yes. 3 years. I stand by. I stand by the 3 year rule in head coaching. Right, this is college and NFL. First year, you're just going in there and establishing culture. Second year, you need to start. You can continue building on that culture. You start getting more of your guys in, and you need to see improvement in record. But you don't. Third year, if he can't make the playoffs in year three without a better record than he had in year two, then you've got a problem. Maybe. But I stand by the 3 year rule. And so far, year one was the year you're allowed to kind of give him to mess up a little bit, especially given he wasn't even an OC. He had like a double promotion. Let him have. He's had year two. They've improved. He's got some of the better stuff out of Bryce Young. I think he's earned his year three at least to of the scale of head
I would
coaching.
say getting them to the playoffs is probably enough to keep his job, in my opinion. Because if you just said at the start of the year, and I don't care what anyone says, it doesn't matter whether it's the NFC South. The NFC South is still trash. But if you said at the start of the year, the Panthers are going to be the team that makes the playoffs, no one would have thought that. They were going to be third team at best in most people's predictions. So for them to go and win the division, yes, okay, it's with a negative record, but still to go and win the division and to go into the playoffs, I think is a huge. When we talk about like the positions of some teams and where you're expecting them to be to where they actually are, to me, that's a big enough jump from expectation to reality that I think you're going to get. And that's what, if they then next year end up finishing third and it's still 8 and 9, sack him. I think that's
Yeah,
fair. But I just don't think that they are in a position where in my opinion, if they do let him go, I think they'd be an idiot because
I
they'd
think
just be at square one. And
I think as well. You put in who did they have before him? Matt Rule. And he had 2 seasons and 5 games, and he put up 11 wins. In the 2 seasons so far, Dave Canales has 13, and that's without the playoff game, which he probably won't win. But like I said, I think there's a year three here where he's shown the improvement in year two enough to warrant a year three of okay, few more of your guys in, you've got some more things, you've now got playoff experience under your belt. And I think this game for me comes down to I haven't seen Bryce Young in January, apart from when he was at Alabama. I haven't seen Dave Canales coach in January, and some of the things they've done in September and October and November haven't been the best. What I have seen though is repeated after repeated after repeated success of Sean McVay in January. And we've seen him be successful in February as well, when only 2 teams in the entire NFL continue to play. So
I
I
think for me,
yeah,
the last thing that I kind of want to say on it is that for me, for Carolina, this is a free hit. No one is expecting them to win.
Nope.
They can go out and basically just be as aggressive as they want to be. And it doesn't matter. If they lose, everyone expected it. If they win, it's an absolute shocker. They've knocked out, probably from what I've seen online, the favourites to make the Super Bowl from the NFC side. Like, that's a huge win for them. And I think that is what allowed them to be more competitive in this game than maybe necessarily, a team like I don't know, like the Buccaneers, who you would have expected to be there, and it's not as much of a free hit. To me, they have no one is expecting them to win this game, and to
Yeah.
me, they can just go out and do whatever they want. Go and do go and throw a fake punt on your 30-yard line, throw it for 10 yards. Sort of thing.
Don't I
It's
get
that.
Keep keep
don't. I saw that
keep it
play
a
on
one.
my game last week. Oh.
Keep keep it within a one-score game. And as much as I hate him, you can take a moral victory away from this one if you
Yeah.
keep it a one-score
Yeah,
game.
I agree with that one.
The last question is: if you had 150,000, what would you spend it on? Would you spend it on a football, a yacht? Wait a minute, that's not enough to buy a yacht. I want to see Carolina Mike having a weekend. If you don't know who Carolina Mike is, he's like, have you seen the Colts guy who sings the song every week for the Colts?
Oh God.
Kind of like that, but slightly different. Carolina Mike's better.
Is he
However,
less
the
is he
Colts
less
guy,
is he less obnoxious?
no, no.
Oh,
Um,
no, I don't want to know that. Bye. See you later.
um, he just seems to be like, if Carolina Mike was your uncle, it'd be like, it's great to see him at the events you see him at.
He's fun
And
to
you would
watch, but
sit
you
there
don't want to
and
be
go,
around him all the time.
you would sit there and go, that's my uncle, that. I'm
That's
so
my
proud of him,
uncle.
but
He
I can't,
he got divorced. He listens to Corn on a daily basis.
not quite. I mean, you need to listen to the song. It's nothing quite close to Corn. Um, Nothing quite close. It was really, really catchy though. Genuinely really catchy. Um, but yeah, I think so. Are we all in agreement that the LA Rams are taking this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So next up, by the way, I'm really, really upset that this game is not featuring the Houston Texans. The early Saturday window and wildcard weekend is reserved for the Houston Texans. End of story. It really, really
Yeah, but
hurts.
we want to wait till the last game for the Steelers to get knocked out of the postseason. So
No, but it's the first game on the Saturday and the Texans aren't playing. Like, for anyone who's neurodivergent out there, this must be killing them. Must be really, really killing them. Well, it depends on the type of neurodivergency. Anyway, we have to then wait until 1 a.m. for the next matchup, one that is quite close to my little, I was going to say heart, but I'm not because everything about this is pure hatred. The Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. This has everything written on it to be a really, really exciting game. And I
mm,
genuinely, there's one other game that I truly think can be a better game than this, just in terms of overall game excitement, what you can put out there on the field, and it just being fun and interesting. But this might be the best one. The question is, and this is where I come into the next bit, I need to see Ben Johnson and the Bears do it in January before I believe in him. That's not being a hater. That's just the way I kind of approach these things. Do you guys kind of get where I'm coming from? It, do you feel the same, or are you? Is anyone running into this with high hopes for the Bears?
I do sort of agree to an extent, but in the same breath, Ben Johnson is also in the same boat as Mike Vrabel. He's gone to a team where they have got absolutely no business being in the playoffs. They shouldn't be this good in your first year. What he's done for that Bears team has been absolutely phenomenal. Now their defense is a freaking colander right now. They can't stop anything. Can't stop the run. Can't stop the pass. So
Good again, interceptions though.
they're very good at getting takeaways, but that's the only way they
Yeah.
win games. They
Yeah.
have to get takeaways in the game.
Yeah.
That's making me hungry now. Anyway, so say the word takeaway. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think Ben Johnson's done really, really well for what he's done for this Bears team. I still I watched that Sunday night game where the Bears played the 49ers, and that was probably the best game I've seen Caleb Williams play all season. That was that was him in his USC just throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was him. That was him in real life. That's why that was a good performance. But there's been some average performances. We've also seen him, do nothing for 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter he decides to play Superman and gets some and bails and bails the Bears out of their incompetence. Um, you cannot do that in the postseason. And someone like the Green Bay Packers, someone like a Matt LaFleur, they've been there and done it. And I'm going to leave one statistic out for a further segment down the road, right? But Green Bay will have Jordan Love back. Now, as long as he doesn't go down with a head with a concussion, he's playing. And remember the last time they played the Bears? They were up by a considerable margin. And then he went down. And then the Bears took over. I'll be very straight up and honest with you, Sam. I think this has got the makings of a classic. We've already been told as well during the weather forecast there could be some snow in the air as well. It's supposed to be 9 degrees, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I really that's in Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in degrees. I think that's something like I don't know, like something like -8, -7 maybe. Could be wrong.
-12.
Oh no, no thanks.
Nearly
I say, yeah.
-13.
minus
12.7.
minus 12. Or as Nick from the college pod would say, it's just a cold night. It's just another regular cold night in Manchester. See, he needs some from on his head. But now this has got the makers of an absolute classic. Two good running games. Obviously, you've got DeAndre Swift and Carl and Monongai.
Yeah.
For the Bears, for the Packers, you have got Josh Jacobs, and you've also got Wilson as well, who came in for actually did really well for him as well. I look at the receiving core of the Packers. It's you've got Christian Watson, Romeo Dubs. Not sure who their backup tight end is. Musgrave, who's actually all right. You've got Jalen Reed as well, who's the deep threat. They've got very, very good weapons. Bears have got better weapons. Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, my former Michigan man at tight end. You got Romeo Dunze. You got DJ Moore. You got Luther Burden. I mean, that offense is just both teams are stacked on offense. This is why I don't see it being. One thing I want to see in this game, and this is not a dig, I need to hear Al Michaels have a little bit of enthusiasm in this game, because every Thursday night Amazon game that I've listened to his commentary, it just sounded like he's just doing it for the sake of being there. He's not doing it because it excites him anymore. I know he's getting on in his past age, but this is a playoff game. It's a wild card game. If he sees one go for 50 yards and takes it to the house, I want to see him lose his absolute marbles over it. But for me, this has got the instant classic thing.
You've also got. I'm just looking quickly at the two injury reports going into the game. Matthew Golden had a full practice. Ezra and Cooper had a full practice. Banks, Brinson, and Bullard are all limited. 2 of them are questionable. Nyman is limited. Zach Tom didn't practice. Van Ness is full practice, so that's a good one. Wicks is limited, and Malik Willis is also limited. So, put it like this: if Love goes down, they are potentially buggered at quarterback.
They're buggered. They are buggered. Although no, Malik Willis is Malik Willis still there?
Yeah, he's down.
He's actually performed really well under Love.
He's limited practice, questionable though. That's the only thing.
Okay, fair enough.
He has been limited practice all week, so he'll probably be good to go as a bench. On the other side, Gardner Johnson is definitely out. Abong Bamiga is out, and Tryon Shanker is also out. Gordon and Jones are questionable, but did have full practice. Grady Jarrett's full practice. Basically, all the others, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Jade Walker, all full practice. Will probably likely play, if not off the. They're not listed, so those will all be back in. So it should be quite a good. Hopefully, both teams are relatively at full strength, which is kind of what we want. We don't want to see, half-assing teams. So it looks like Just looking at their wide receivers. The only thing I would say is that at the moment, it looks like the only wide receivers available for the Packers. Oh no, they're all available. Sorry, I'll take that back. They're all available, which is obviously a big one. Um, yeah, so all of those are available. So it should be a very good game. I think it's a shame that I get why. To be honest, from my perspective, I love the fact the Rams are first. I think in terms of the playoff picture, it makes sense for them to be the first game because realistically, unless there's a crazy upset, it's probably going to go the way we expected. I think this game could be. I don't think it's necessarily going to be crazy high scoring, but I just think it's going to be a good game. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting parts to it. It's going to be a divisional game. And
There's going to
North,
be there's no, I'll guarantee you this right now. There's going to be some ref ball in this as well.
yeah,
Yeah. As
it's
far
probably
as
a good fact that CJ Gardner Johnson isn't playing because he'd probably end up smacking someone.
yeah, probably. Um, as far as the odds go, the Packers are -1 favourites. The over-under
Yep.
is 45, and the Packers are 5 to 6 on the money line. Bears at evens.
I
So
would.
it's going to be a close one, very close one.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. I think this is going to come. I think this is going to be won by a field goal, and I think it's going to come down to who has got the ball last.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if it comes to overtime. It would not shock me if this was an overtime game.
I hope so. I want whoever wins this, because whoever wins it
You
to
want
have to
this?
have played some extra football to have won it. Go into next week a little bit more tired than everybody else. Love it.
I would say tired than everybody else, but they have played a day earlier.
Yeah,
I don't know the
they had
bracket
about an extra
falls.
day's rest,
Extra, well, yeah, extra,
potentially
yeah,
extra day's rest, depending on how.
potentially, yeah.
Um, it is a weird one to call. I mean, certain
How
players from the Bears are stepping up.
As a Lions fan, how does it feel knowing that these two teams are having to play each other in the playoffs?
So, have
Like,
you
obviously,
ever? Are you familiar with the Gary Neville quote?
which one?
Regarding
He says a lot. He says a lot.
City or Liverpool to win the league. It's like asking between who would you rather pipe your missus, your best mate, or your brother. Those kind of vibes kind of hit me right now a little bit.
Who do you hate? Who do you hate more, the Packers or the Bears?
Oh, did, this is the weirdest bit. Any other year, FTP all day, every day, twice on Sundays. But given the fact that
Ben
that's our
Johnson.
former OC,
Yeah, especially if he goes and wins a game in the playoffs.
yeah. But also it makes Dan Campbell's coaching tree look better. I kind of.
But it also then highlights how shit you've been this year without Ben Johnson.
The thing is, though, right, and this is something I'm sure we'll get into, and I'm very passionate about this right this moment in time. Statistically, the offense has been high. Scott is continued to stay in those top five categories in passing yards, in rushing yards, in well, slightly less in rushing. And most of that can be put down to the bit part O line that we put together this year, I think, more than anything. The record itself doesn't help the narrative. But I think again, like this is an argument we'll get into another day. You don't need my vitriol at this moment in time. If I was to have to pick out the two, I'd want the Bears to win it. I'd want the Bears to win it. I think the Bears will take it. The Packers are down. And another thing that I think this is going to come down to is which Jordan Love turns up. We are all aware that a playoff worthy Jordan Love exists. A playoff run Jordan Love exists. But getting him to turn up is a different question. I don't think you need to rely on a playoff run Caleb Williams, as that offense is able to work on multiple a few more levels, and there's a few more pieces that can come together, I think, for that Bears offense. And you look at things like, yeah, they lost to the Lions last week, but the like Colston Loveland, Caleb Williams getting the relationship with Colston Loveland going, which he did last week, and hoping to see some of those relationships come to fruition in the playoffs. I just think that the Bears don't have to have a certain Caleb Williams turn up, whereas the Packers do have to have a certain Love turn up.
But I think that on the flip side of that, if Jacobs turns up, the Josh Jacobs we know,
Mhm.
he will run riot on that Bears defense. He will, and that'll add that into the fact that Jordan Love now has four, potentially five wide receivers, which he is comfortable throwing to, as well as bringing in Musgrave. I as we've sort of said already, the only way that the Bears are going to keep the Packers out for as long as they can is by interceptions or by turning the ball over. It's the only way I
Yeah.
think they win this game. If they can't get those turnovers, I don't see them winning the game. They have the ability to do it, but if they don't do it, then they're in serious trouble.
Mm.
Yeah. So are you taking the Packers there then, Sam?
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers.
But you can't.
I am going to be taking Green Bay.
I'll be a contrarian. I'll still take the Bears.
Okay.
And say that I reckon playoff Jordan Love doesn't turn up.
Well, okay.
Then you
I,
roll
I,
over.
I would probably agree with you, but Josh Jacobs turns up, and that's what wins them the game.
Mm.
Fair enough. Then we go on to Sunday. 6 p.m. on Sunday, the Buffalo Bills travel to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't remember the last time we had to sit there and watch the Buffalo Bills travel on Wildcard weekend.
Can I
It's
tell you?
looking
Can I tell you when? Or well,
when.
I can tell you when the last time they won a wild card game on the road.
Go on.
1992. 35-3 against the Houston Oilers. Remember that? That was
Yes,
the
I
last
remember
time.
that 19. Yeah, I
Well,
remember
no,
that
I don't think you'd
1992.
remember it, but you know what I mean. If you know your history,
Yeah.
Houston Oilers were up 35-3 at Rich Stadium. Everyone filed out of the exits after around about half time. And backup quarterback Frank Reich led the team to their greatest comeback, or as we affectionately known it when it comes to the Houston Oilers in that particular game, the choke.
I
Um,
genuinely think this might be the game of the week.
It will be.
this was my one where I was going to say the Bears Packers could be the best, but there's another one that could be up there for the best one. This is the
Yeah.
one. This is the one. And again, this is the third game in a row that I have to say this. But again, it's going to be the second one in a row where I kind of go against the thing that I say. I need to see the Jags and Liam Cohen in January, but the way that this team is playing, the way that Trevor Lawrence is playing football, the way they're playing on defense, the way they're playing on offense, I have no worries. The teams that they've beaten 5 playoff teams on the way to the AFC South. They're at home. I really think the Jags will. I think the Jags will do it.
I'm reluctant to drink the Kool-Aid in this one because we know the quarterback on the other side
Yeah.
of the ball is Josh Allen. Now, one thing I will say, they do rely on Josh Allen, but they also rely on James Cook. They are going up against the number one rushing defense in the NFL. By metrics, that's what Jacksonville are, the number one rushing defense.
And that James Cook is the rushing leader of the
So
NFL.
that's what it's going to be. It's basically iron on iron. So we're going to see how that one pans out. Um, the Bills' offensive line will keep Josh Allen up. I think the Jags' pass rush is not that particularly great. They they do get pressure in the interior, but I always feel like they don't try and get to the quarterbacks much. If they do, it's usually on a blown assignment. Um, but Josh Allen is carrying a knock. What I say a knock, week 17, his foot wasn't great. Apparently, there was a report going saying he had a very light ankle sprain. Well, it's either he has got a high ankle sprain or a low ankle sprain, or he hasn't. So it can only be one of the two. I think he's playing through an ankle sprain. Don't know what the severity of it is, but I think that's what he's doing. If the Jags are going to have any chance of stopping Josh Allen, they have got to get to him.
Mm.
Got to get to him, test that foot out, and let's see how well he runs.
Yeah.
That's what they got to do. And regarding of Jacksonville on the offensive side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence, he has won a playoff game, so at least he has got, at least he's got some, he's got a win under his belt for it. Now this is going to be a very tough game for him. They cannot, and I go back to 2022 where they played the Chargers. They cannot have a shit show in the first half against the Bills because we know what the Bills are. The Bills are a second half team anyway. If the Jags want to put their stamp on it, they're going to have to kill the Bills in the first half and kill them very, very quickly. They're going to have to use Travis Etienne and who is the backup running back?
Tootin.
Tootin. They're going to have to use him as well. We know what Jacoby Myers is capable of. He's a safety valve for him. Parker Washington has been an unsung hero for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you picked him up in fantasy later towards the championship round, congratulations. You probably won your league with him because he was absolutely awesome. The one and also Brenton Strange as well come back, serviceable tight end and is good and he is decent. The X factor in this game, and this might sound like a big hot take here. Brian Thomas Jr. has not had the best of seasons, shall we say? If you're gonna want to stay in Jacksonville and become a hero, this is the game to do it. Brian Thomas Jr. might be the guy that might actually do some damage if he gets the opportunity to. The line of Jacksonville is actually I don't know what it's ranked, to be honest with you. I think Jacksonville's line is pretty good. They keep Trevor Lawrence up right. But again, Trevor Lawrence is going to make the right reads. He's going to make the correct throws. If they're taking away the deep ball, just check it down. Yeah, I think this has got all the ingredients of a 70 to 80 point game. We could be looking at an absolute fireworks display here. But I just think that
on the Bills the number one pass defense.
they've got the number one pass. They got, I think, number one or number two. Well, since the Browns are now,
They're at least top five. We'll say top five.
They're a top five. They're a top five passing defense, but they're like a bottom five run defense.
Yeah. As per PFF stats, they are number 7. The Bills are number 7 in pass rush. There are 3 teams ahead of them in the playoffs. The Texans, the Rams, and the Steelers. The Texans are second, Rams third, Steelers fourth. In terms of coverage, the Bills are the 16th ranked team in the NFL per PFF.
The Jags are
the Rams, the Hawks, the Patriots, the Jags, the Texans, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Packers, the Eagles, and the Panthers all ahead of them that are playoff teams. As far as pass blocking goes, the Jags are 11th. The Bills are 4th.
Yeah, but like you say, the run defense, the Bills are 27th in run defense, whereas the Jacksonville are 12th.
But then if you look at the run game, the Bills are first. So you got first run, the first in running, versus the 12th in run defense on that side. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I do genuinely think this could be a very high scoring game. I think both teams have the ability to put up big points, and I do think both defenses, although have been good at parts, do allow points on the board. And I think it'll be it it feels like the sort of game that could be a little bit of a shootout. And it's whoever
Yeah.
finishes, like we said before, whoever finishes with the ball last and has the last drive, I think could be the team that wins it. But
Well, the spread's -1. The over/under is 51.5, and both teams are slightly better than evens to take it. Bills are 20-23, Jags are 20-21. This is the highest by a good margin in terms of over/under than any other game this weekend.
Mhm.
The next best is 46, and
Mm.
that's between the Rams and the Panthers and the Chargers Patriots. This is 5.5 points better in
Mm,
terms of over under. So this everything that Vegas points to is this going to be a shootout.
yeah,
Yeah, I think this will be a shootout.
Who do you think wins the shootout, guys?
I'm gonna give it to the Bills just based upon the fact that they've won playoff games before. And obviously, we've said that the last time they won on the road game was way back when.
1992.
But I
Which we
think
all
they've had a lot
remember.
more. I think they've had a
92? No,
lot more.
93, sorry, beg your pardon. 1993 it was.
They've
Sorry.
had a lot more experience in the playoffs.
Yeah. When you say 92, is that the 1992 season? But it was
Yes, 99. It was the 1992
Okay.
season going to 93.
Okay.
Yeah, 3rd of January, I think it was as well. Just if I'm
Okay.
correct.
So that makes yeah, that's fine. Based on the fact that they all year have essentially alluded to the Bills being frauds, even if I don't say the literal word fraud, and the fact that the Jags have beat the Niners, they've beat the Chiefs, they beat the sorry, they lost to the Texans
Lost to us.
Mm.
and beat the Texans.
But absolutely
We're all
belted
aware
their
of
ass
that one.
by us.
We're all
And
aware of that one.
shellacked the Broncos as well.
The and the Chargers.
Yep.
I just think this Liam Cohen team's different. It's different. It's something I'm really excited, and I want it to be. I want it to be successful for the United Kingdom, because they're our team more than they are Jacksonville's. I want to see this team be successful, and I still don't trust this year's Bills yet.
If the quick question, if the Jags won the Super Bowl, would when Jags play their home game at Wembley, would Wembley hang a Super Bowl banner up
They
as
should.
their second
Probably,
team?
yeah.
I think they should, right? And I think it'd be hilarious to an extent to see World Cup 1966,
Six, and
Jacksonville
then
Jags Super
Jacksonville
Bowl
Super Bowl
66.
2026.
Um, there's just a sweet, beautiful irony in it that would 60 years on the Jags did it for us. Um, the
Wouldn't
quick
it be a
question.
crazy year though? If we won the World Cup and the Jags won the Super Bowl in the same year.
That is scarily weird. Not gonna happen, but
Um, Shout out to the Jags who might pull their end of that deal though.
Mm.
Um, Saying that though, really, really, really quick. Sean McDermott, if this is the Bills' option, they don't have to go to Arrowhead. They don't have to play the Chiefs in the playoffs. Can't if this
They
is
don't
the
have to
year
play the
they
Ravens
can't get
either.
it done. Don't have to play the Ravens. If you go off historically, well, recent history, this is the Bills' best shot in terms of the powerhouse teams that they've not got to go against. Do you throw questions at Sean McDermott?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he would be. I think there'd be serious questions about his ability to be head coach of the Bills. Serious questions.
I would also question the GM as well, Brandon Bean
Mm.
Fair.
as well, because look at the roster he's built. That ain't great, is it? It's the worst that Josh Allen's had since like his rookie season.
Going on though, so yeah, I'll stick with the Jags. Why not?
Okay.
I'll be a contrarian. I'll stick with the Jags. I'll go with the Jags for this one. Um, if I can say the Jags more times in 30 seconds, I might match Ollie's record of Colts 9 times in about 15 seconds.
I'll just end it with this. Duval.
No. We've got to go to OG Liam Cohen with a
was gonna say
Duval.
you got to do it the Liam
No.
Cohen way.
I will petition
It
though.
sounds like he's trying to say it through a freaking through a kazoo.
Have you noticed though?
It's
After
better than what I thought
he,
because I thought he was saying it sexually.
he started with that, then he squared up to Robert Salah on the field after a game, and all of a sudden, like the
Yeah.
Jags are different now. There's something about I think your head coach squaring up to someone else and doing the whole Will Smith keep my name out of his mouth.
He's lost like 10, 15. He's lost like 10, 15 pounds and is just drinking a shit ton of protein shake.
Yeah,
He's looking really good now. And then guess what? The Florida sun does a lot of good for you.
it does. It was in Tampa anyway, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
it's not new to him. Anyway, going on to Sunday after, well, I say afternoon. This is evening for us. San Francisco 49ers and Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what to make of this game. Do either of you know what to make of this game? I just don't know.
I'll use it as a reference from a former Arsenal YouTuber. Sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be shit. We generally don't know. Is Kevin Petula gonna actually conjure up the offense to start scoring more than 20 points? The last
No,
time the Philadelphia Eagles put up more than 20 points was in week 3. Week 3. That was the last time they done that. You got to this and the 49ers defense. Look, I credit so much to Kyle Shanahan and what he's got this team. He's dragged this team kicking and screaming into a wild card. Fair play to him. But this defense is shot to S word. It really is. All the Eagles have got to do in this game is just simply run the ball. If you run the ball in this Niners team, you will win the game. Just look at the blueprint what the Seattle Seahawks did with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Look what they did. They pulverized them.
mm.
And then
And
they
they have
suffocate them on the defensive side of the ball as well. And I don't know what the injury report was. I did see yesterday that apparently Trent Williams, left tackle, and wide receiver Purcell. That's not the washing detergent. That's just his name. They didn't practice yesterday, so I don't know what their practice report is today. What is the time? 22:37. It's probably going to be not till a couple of hours yet. So I don't know what to make of it. The Eagles defense I've got no issues with. That Eagles defense is scarily dangerous.
it's still not been released yet.
It's still not been released. Okay, so
No.
we just have to wait for it. Overall, considering I'll go watch the Patriots game, this is probably the game where I'll probably end up just going for like going for a nap, just so I don't feel so tired. Um, don't. I'm going to say Philadelphia take it, and I do it through gritted teeth.
The Eagles are -5.
Shit, really?
This has a 3-score game written all over it just to meet that line.
Personally, the Eagles have been in 5 2-score games all year. They've only won 3 of them, and one of those was the Raiders, and one of those was the Giants when they were tanking. The other one one of the two that they lost was the Giants early in the season, that was one of the most funniest games I've ever seen, ever. But the Eagles have a way of just this year, as opposed to other years. I mean, well, actually, sorry, I'll even add this one. The other game that they won that was one of the games that they won that was a 2-score game was the Commanders straight after they played the Raiders when both teams were tanking. I just this Eagles team isn't what it was, and you are benefiting from the fact that you are in a division with the New York Football Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, of which they split that series 2-2.
Mhm.
They have beat comfortably the Commanders once. They beat the Bills barely. They beat the Lions barely. They beat the Packers barely. They've got into these like absolute dregs of games that yes, they've come out of winning, but like I don't have any faith in this Eagles team. Not to go up against what I think would be just a better 49ers team. And
Yeah,
the tush push doesn't work anymore. Not the way it used to. Teams have figured it out. I can't I have no confidence in this Eagles team.
I think if the Eagles go back to basics and start running the ball, they'll win this game. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. It's not, they don't have to do all of these fancy plays. They just need to give Saquon the ball and run it down the throat of the Niners defense, and they'll be fine. And then when that stops, like, and then every now and then throw in a few plays to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, throw in, a 10-yard touchdown to Goddard, and you've got a winning recipe. It's for them, it's not a difficult game to go into in terms of how to go and win that game. The problem that they have is they have an OC who doesn't know how to use Saquon Barkley.
yep.
Yeah.
Having said that, there's no way I can back the Niners to win this game. I just can't do it.
Fair. Um so are you taking the Eagles in this one then, Sam?
Yeah, that's just a pure hatred choice. It's got nothing
That's
to do
fair.
with
That's
any
fair.
logic. It's I just don't want them to win the game.
That's fair. If the Bears and Packers weren't playing this week, both of them would be losing no matter who they were playing. So I get it. I'm sticking with the Niners just on the back. I can't. I just
Also,
don't.
if we want our, the script of how it's going to go, we get revenge on the Panthers. We then play the Eagles at their place, beat them, get the revenge on them, and then go to Seattle, get the revenge on them, and then win the Super Bowl. Story
The
writes itself.
revenge tour. The
Yeah.
revenge tour. Who is
Mm.
it? Did you lose to an AFC team this year?
Um,
Where have you gone? Eagles, Niners, Panthers, Seahawks, Falcons. No, you won all your games against the AFC.
so there you
So
go. So we just go on and win.
it's not like you can say, "Oh, the Jags get to the Super Bowl and you get your revenge on the Jags," or
No, but we can do a repeat of what we did in London to them.
could you imagine?
It'd be the worst Super Bowl ever if we just belt to ask them.
I don't know that Rams Patriots Super Bowl was fucking awful,
No, it was.
absolutely awful. At least you would have some semblance of
There you go.
offense
That
within
that
that
would be a
game.
revenge. Play the Patriots in the Super Bowl and belt to ask them like they did to us.
Do you know what? I cannot wait to that review show with the both of you if that's the case. Cannot wait. Like I would love every second of it, and I would just be able to sit here and just go, right. Um, moving on though, we'll go to the Chargers and the Patriots, and Carl, just take us away with this one.
Now, do I start with a rant or do I start being
When is it?
rash
When
rational?
have you ever
When have
had
you
to?
ever been rational?
When has this ever been a thought in your mind?
Fair point.
Where was this option or every week this year?
I don't know. I don't know really. Listen, this game is reason why it's on Sunday Night Football is because it's going to be the closest one out of all the matches, out of everyone. Um, the Chargers, they're coming into Foxborough. They got the wild card. They rested a lot of their starters in Week 18 against Denver. A lot of people say it was a tactical move. Other people say it's cowardly because obviously they could have technically beaten the Broncos and could have actually have made well. They could have faced the Steelers, but the Texans won, so they would have had to face. Yeah, they would have stayed where they are, so it would have been not it would have been irrelevant anyway. But they rest their starters. Herbert, he's injured. His left hand is damaged. So they've kept him out, and also this offensive line for the Chargers is factually and statistically worse than what New England's was last year. Last year's line for the Patriots consisted of Vadarian Lowe at left tackle, Robinson at left guard. Where is it? Oh, hang on, it's on my screen here. Where is it? There you go. Yeah, Layden Robinson at left guard, Cole Strange at center, Michael Wenner at right guard, who is the only one left, by the way, and right tackle Demontre Jacobs. Okay, that was by PFF as the worst offensive line in the NFL last year, right? But however, that could not be compared to the Chargers' offensive line. Their center, their two starting guards, and their starting right tackle all have a bottom of the barrel PFF grade. Only their backup left tackle, Salayas, who's coming back, has got a slightly average grade on the offensive line. Justin Herbert has been hit the third most in the NFL. He has been getting pummeled, yet they've still been dragged kicking and screaming to a wild card. The running game is suboptimal with Amarian Hampton dealing with a slight injury right now. I don't know if he's going to be good to go. We'll have to find out further down the road. But this defense of the Chargers is very, very good. It's ranked third in EPA on defense. They have got good pass rushers. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. We know what they are. Hang on, not Joey Bosa. Sorry, he's at the Bills now. I don't know who the other pass rusher is for the Chargers. They're going to get Denzel Perryman back from suspension, which is a big one for them. And their secondary, their two main safeties, Derwin James and who is he? Was it Tony Jefferson? That was it, Tony Jefferson. They're going to be on their piece of cues for this game. I look at New England. Their line is significantly better. I look at our dual threat at the running back with Ramondre Stevenson, who really has kicked on now. Ever since he come back from his toe injury. I'll just run you the statistics now. Henson has had 130 carries, 603 yards, 9 total touchdowns. He's also had 32 receptions, 345 yards. Trayvon Henderson, 180 carries, just under 1,000 yards of 911. 10 total touchdowns, 35 receptions, 221 receiving yards. So, and you saw in the game against Miami, and yes, we did play against backups, but we did see what this running game could be capable of. Now, I could see the Chargers and the Patriots run defenses trying to shut them both out. Obviously, we've got Milton Williams back, which was great to see. Robert Spillane looks like it's back, which is great. The only thing we are worried about is Kyrus Tonga. He hasn't practiced for 2 days straight, so it's very unlikely he's going to play, but we do have a backup in place for him. I just look at this game as the Chargers, they've done well with what they've got. Jim Harbaugh is a fantastic head coach. Fletch, you and I are Michigan fans. We know what Jim Harbaugh done for us, done for our university. So, I have a lot of respect for him. I respect for both Harbaugh coaches. I really, really do. Right? Unfortunately, that respect goes out the window for 3.5 hours in the early hours of Monday morning. So I just look at it now and here's the thing. A lot of people have been saying that the Chargers will beat the Patriots because they have more playoff experience, whereas the Patriots really have no playoff experience. This is Drake May's first one. He's going to be nervous. He's going to be jittery, and this, that, and the other. And the Chargers fans are not wrong, but they missed out one crucial word in that sentence. They have experience in the playoffs in losing. The last time they won a playoff game was back in 2018. And when they come to us for the divisional round, we completely dusted them. I'll say this now. I think it's a minus 3.5 point spread. It's going to be a tight one. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as a lot of people think it's going to be. But I trust my guys. I trust my quarterback to get the job done. But the Patriots front four has got to get pressure on Herbert. If they do, they've got every chance of winning this game. You sack him 2 times or more, his passer rating drops to around about just below 90. And his last 2 playoff games were absolutely abysmal. If I've got, where is Herbert's last? Where's Herbert's last statistics? I don't know. Have I got it? No, I haven't got it. No, I
Last
haven't got it.
statistics,
Okay.
you mean stats from last game.
Well, no, his last 2 playoff games, Herbert, because
Oh,
they were horrid, absolutely horrid. Um, Especially in his last one against the Texans, where they lost 32-12. He threw 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. He got absolutely shellacked
yeah,
in
he
that
was
game.
14 of 32, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions.
Yeah,
Lad McConkey got 197 of those yards, though.
yeah, because no one knew what Lad McConkey was back then. Now everyone knows what he is.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick it out as it is. I'm backing my team.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to hear excuses about strength of schedule ever again. All right. It's boring and it's lazy freaking and it's lazy analogies. It's lazy analytics. Right. Anybody who does that.
Probably very much like the 13 1 yard touchdowns that Matt Stafford got. But
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
but Patriots, there's always lazy stat padders out there.
Yeah,
Sounds
exactly.
like
So,
sounds like something a supporter of a team who's played nobody would say.
at the end of the day, that was the regular season. As Mike Vrabel said in his press conference, that was the regular season. We're now in the postseason now. We're 1-0. We start again.
Yeah.
This is now where we'll see how well we'll do against the big boys. I'll say this. I recently said we won the division and we got the number 2 seed. I basically turned around and said that if we got there, we're playing with house money. I'm slowly changing the way I think about this now because we're playing Justin Herbert, who's played two wildcard games in his own two. He's got scar tissue now, and now he's going to be worried of of throwing bad picks, right? One last thing I'll say to this as well. When we lost 40 points to 7 against the Chargers last season, right? Our defense got completely gashed, right? These were our players for the game. Jonathan Jones, he's now gone. Isaiah Bolden, he's now gone. Marcus Jones, we still have him, but he was on IR. Alex Austin, we still got him, but he's like our fourth corner. Christian Gonzalez played, but he left early with a concussion. Safety, Kyle Duggar, he did start, but he was useless. Jalen Hawkins, still with us, but has improved. Brendan Schooler, special teamer, and Jabril Peppers, he was on the roster, but he was inactive for this game. This secondary that the Chargers are playing is completely different. Gonzo is playing at an all-pro level. Craig Woods has done well as a rookie. Hawkins has improved massively. Yes, Carlton Davis still gives up way too much, but that's because no one's throwing the ball in the vicinity of Gonzalez's region. If you watch, he's either covering every single receiver or he's battering the ball away. And I think in this game, we're going to see if the Patriots are in front and Herbert needs to get the ball down the field, at some point, he is going to target Gonzalez. He's going to put his best receiver on Gonzalez. He's going to have to go for it at some point. And that's where the mistakes will happen. Our secondary is different. The linebackers are different. The interior defensive line is different. This Chargers team, there's a lot of Chargers fans that come out of their plywood to say, oh, how they're going to beat us. You know, we beat you 40 points to 7 last season. That was a completely different team and a completely different head coach who was way in over his head. And also, you're coming to Foxborough. Playoff Foxborough is loud. It's
Chargers don't
loud.
like Chargers don't like cold weather either. They play
They
in
don't like
California.
cold weather as well. It's going to be like 1, 2 degrees. UK 1, 2 degrees. So it's just under 30. So it's just under 32 Fahrenheit, if I'm not mistaken.
Think so.
But if you want my score, mate, I'm taking the Pats to win.
Yep.
24-16.
Sam, are you taking?
Walk-off field goal for the Patriots.
So we need a contrarian. That's not going to be me because I like my Pats touchback friends. And I've taken the piss out of Nick enough these last couple of weeks and Notre Dame. So I'll side with my boy Drake May. I'll side with my boy Drake May. Moving on, the last game of the weekend, Monday Night Football. Houston Texans, Pittsburgh Steelers. I have one thing to say on this game, all that needs to be said. Not only is Aaron Rodgers going to be retired by Tuesday morning, that Houston Texans defensive line will put him in a hospital. I'm done. That's all I have to say on this game. Texans win it. Put Aaron Rodgers in a hospital and he's retired and done for. His career's over. And that's how it's going to go out. I can't wait.
So the original thought was if the Steelers have squeaked through the Ravens and they won like something like 20-17, I'll be like, yeah, this Texas team's going to absolutely annihilate them. What the Steelers actually did in the fourth quarter quite impressed me, especially the fact that DK Metcalf was not there this time. Um, Aaron Rodgers wasn't scared to sling the ball. I mean, that fourth quarter turned into a freaking basketball game. Let's be real. Neither defense did anything. The blown coverages in that game was absolutely freaking hilarious. Both on Zay Flowers' touchdown and obviously on Calvin Austin's one in the fourth quarter. Chris Boswell has been missing field goals. He's also been missing PATs as well. Not great. Not great for him. Houston, on the other hand, defensively, I think we could safely say we have praised this defense for a very long time this season. How dominant, how destructive, how ruthless it is. But as we've already established, the offensive side of the ball still worries us. Nick Caley is not a good OC for Houston. Their line is
Probably another one that's probably going to lose his job at the end of the year.
more than likely. The line is, I say it's a little bit below average. It ain't particularly great. CJ Stroud on his day can sling the rock, but he can also throw some dumb passes at the same time as well. They've got good receivers. Nico Collins,
Jake
Hutchinson,
Higgins.
Jade Higgins,
Higgins.
Noel. They've got a lot of. They've also got Schwartz. Is it Schwartz? Schultz. Sorry.
Schultz.
Oh, Dalton Schultz at tight end. So they've got everything there. And Woody Marks, who's the rookie, really has come on strong in the back end of the season. That could be something they could utilize better.
And
This
they've got
is
that Brooks as well, haven't they? He's started to come through.
what a name. I'm sorry,
I
but
know,
what
British
a
Brooks.
name. British Brooks. That's my surname as well. So
British Brooks.
no, that's not my. Yeah, no, my surname is. No, my surname
Well,
is the
yeah,
last
I know what you
word.
mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. Do you want to
But
give a
this,
quick prediction to this one? Because I realise timing's not going to be our friend right now.
I'm going Texans 2017.
Sam,
Yeah, Texans.
give me Texans all day, every day. While we're on this topic, just want to really while we're here, we just want to give you a quick one. Like, congratulations to everybody who won fantasy leagues this year. Did any of you win a fantasy league this year?
Yes.
Of
Yes,
course
I
you
won.
did. Sam, by law of averages, you have to have won at least six.
I don't know how many I won. It wasn't that many though.
I lost
I
my
had a lot of,
main.
I had a lot of finals, but my team, I had a lot of injuries, so a lot of my teams didn't do well in finals.
I lost my main title in my main league because it's not on my table anymore. But I did. But as a consolation prize, I did win the Patriots touchback league.
Congratulations. Um, Well, I mean, I say this one with the fact that obviously as of next season we'll have some more fantasy stuff coming out. Throughout the off season we'll be working on it. If you are interested in fantasy stuff and you want to kind of create fantasy content, please just give me a shout because I'm sure we can work something out. We want to get you involved. But if you're missing fantasy football already and there's a way that you kind of really want to do something, there is a way you can do it. And now that's through our friends at Fantasy Game Day, the UK's first and only NFL daily fantasy app made by UK fans for UK fans. And you, with their £2 to £25 entry games, you can set a lineup. Excuse me. Set a lineup to the budget and compete against other UK fans, myself, other content creators, and try and win a few quid in the process. When you do this, when you sign up, go to the link in the description of this episode, sign up and use code HRDLE. That is hurdle without the U.
There's no hurdle the line without you.
Beautiful. And when you do that and you deposit and play for the first time, you will receive £7.50 in free plays, and we get a little bit of a kickback too. Which would be very, very helpful around this time of year, obviously with the running costs of everything that goes on with the AEW network. You help with that so graciously, the two of you who have done it this year, and we really, really, really appreciate you. So yeah, with that in mind, with that all said and done, lads, I want to wish you a very, very, very fun weekend. I hope you both enjoy watching your team in the playoffs. I hope both of your teams win. I will be enjoying hate watching the NFC North matchup on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and be rooting for you both. So I have you both in a good mood next week. Good luck, enjoy your weekend, and to everyone else out there, enjoy your college football playoffs. They're free on DAZN. Enjoy the NFL playoffs. It's not free. There's one game for free on Channel 5. Enjoy that. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you next week. Obviously, check out the review show on Monday, well, Tuesday morning. The College Football UK show as well coming out.